Can you see what I'm doing wrong? Oh, wait. Yeah.
22 degrees is the record low over in Louisville. Those people over there complain when it gets hot or cold. But their record low in January is 9 degrees. It's a walk in the park here, right? Not too much different in the summers for the records. But then really, oh, that's a zebra. That's not what's supposed to be up there.
I know.
I didn't remember that.
Zoom is giving me fits. Okay. It's being difficult.
Who's been to UW this year?
I got it down.
Yeah, I
Nobody?
fixed that, but didn't.
Been to UW this year? Did you all come as a group
Yeah.
at one point?
Yes, we did.
When's the next one scheduled?
I don't
Well,
know.
now that we have free passes.
Okay, friend, you may just have to go off the screen and I can't get you to your next slide.
Before you start, just a reminder, keep the side conversations because the people on Zoom that, yeah, they can't hear if we have side conversations going on while you're speaking.
So I thought it'd be really cool, but you'll just have to go off that. Sorry.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
Yeah, sorry, friend.
Now I'm flustered.
Sorry.
No. Shelley had a hard time getting you all to be quiet, right?
Yeah.
So I want to make sure you all are asking questions, throw it at me. I'm not a very strict speaker or anything like that. So anytime you got a question, throw your hand up. Are you going to monitor the questions from the internet?
Yes, they are monitoring them, yes.
So the next one. Look at the differences between our record high and our record low for each month. In January, in this area, we have a 101 degree temperature swing from our record low to our record high. And look at Q, flat, basically a 50 degree, their temperatures stay within 50 degrees all year.
Wow.
So what we deal with is we're so intercontinental, we get the warm air coming up from the Gulf, and then it gets pushed back down in January by Canada. And that's when our plants really, really struggle. How many people try to grow the old blue and the pink hydrangeas? How many of them have them bloom reliably every year? Nobody. Trashy plant around. But they're native to a maritime climate. If you go up in the East Coast in Martha's Vineyard, great big, giant, completely blue shrubs. And around here, we're lucky to get 1 or 2 flowers off of them. So a lot of this is really understanding where we live at, the struggles that we have. You know, if I was doing this talk at Q, they probably wouldn't have a water hose stretched out. We've got water hoses stretched out at UW right now. Even though we get twice as much rain as they do, but it's just so consistent. Because what happens with those hydrangeas is they kind of come out of dormancy in January. Then we go from 70 degrees down to 10 degrees that next day, strong wind, and it kills those flowers. So when me and Gina, and there was probably 30 or 40 of us, went to England back in 2008, our first stop was Hampton Court. More of a very well maintained garden, clipped hedges, and not what you think of as an English cottage garden. That was one thing I didn't ask you if it was more of an English cottage garden when you talked about. That's what I went with. That's what we're going to talk about.
Okay, what to hear about.
And she's doing pollinators. So we're going to kind of go from what the idea of an English cottage garden style is to pollinator plants that you can put into them, and then try to tie it up with something that's completely different than what we're dealing with these Victorian style gardens. But to go over there and see these huge, large palaces and gardens and castles that take so much time to keep them looking exactly like they do all year.
That must be my question. What kind of time, that has to be like a full-time gardening
A
staff.
lot. They require their master gardeners over there to have like 10 times as many. Another one we went to, and I was trying to find more pictures from 2008, but that was in the early days of the digital camera. So now they are on a computer at the house somewhere, and it's, I'm telling how long it would have taken me to find all those. These are about the only two I could find off my Facebook album from that long ago.
So is that like a formal garden?
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you want to think like the Victorian style formal gardens, clipped hedges, parterre gardens, just controlling nature as much as you can control it, compared to, and this is another one, this is Westbury Port, where we went to more of a Dutch style garden. They had a lot of canals and water. They were still using their gardens in that time in the 1700s for sustenance, but they'd have a vegetable garden over here to the side. They were growing fish or raising fish in their canals. I didn't take this picture. I stole this right off the National Trust website. This is Sissinghurst, another one we went to. So this is when you start getting into the 1800s, early 1900s, where they were just jamming in plants wherever they can jam them in at. And this is a lot more similar to what you see around here. Probably a lot more similar to what you all have at your own home. I like it. It really ties into what we'll talk about with the pollinators. So we're not controlling nature near as much. You know, we're welcoming nature into our gardens, except maybe the squirrels and stuff. Squirrels getting after your tomatoes. But you can start seeing the complete difference. There's no manicured stuff. They would have some still nice clipped lawns and some hedges, but the plant material and stuff was nice. We visited Hidcote. We were there in late May and early June. So it's really the peak of their garden time over there. Visited this place today. So she said the English garden at Udell. We don't really consider ourselves an English garden or a Victorian garden, but we do have a castle. So we can say we're somewhat English. But when you all have been over there, when you visit, you'll see that it's very, I don't want to say unkept, but not formal, right? So what we finished up last year, if you all haven't been over in the last few years, we finished up our first capital campaign that focused on a garden. So it was a $5.1 million fundraiser. 1 million of that went to endowment to help sustain the gardens into the future. But the rest of it was renovating this whole castle garden area.
That's not what I spend on my garden home too. My mom's credit card, you understand?
So if you don't know the backstory of Udell, a lot of what you see, including the castle and the family home, dates back to the 1940s and 50s. So well after you get out of the English style gardens in England, you know, in the late 1800s, early 1900s. But there's a lot of similarities in the architecture. Theodore Klein and his wife Martha Lee moved in there in 1941. The garden started in the early 2000s after he passed away in 98, and we've grown since then. But this was the first time that we were able to devote a capital campaign just to a garden area. We got rid of a lot of asphalt, the old family parking lot and driveway, added some water features back in. The castle itself is what the family used for their pool house. There used to be an in-ground pool out in front of that. He got the idea that he wanted a castle because he visited Europe and he visited England. He saw them over there, came back, and what it was a big field nursery. So trees and shrubs in the 40s, 50s, 60s, and 70s until he started to retire. So we do have a castle. So this is another angle of it. You can see the millstone sunk into the garden. Some people, my grandpa collected coffee mugs. Some of y'all might collect stamps. Theodore collected millstones. We gathered up all those millstones from around the property and built a water feature out of them. And you can kind of see that over here on the left-hand side. I don't want to show you too good of a picture of it because that's going to keep you from coming over. But it's really neat to see that incorporated and tie back into the family history and things like that. We do have a walled garden. So you can see this is from yesterday. We just have annuals in there right now. So Vino coleus, the papyrus grass, and some Victorian blue and white sage. This is from the lower side of it. This used to be, I would have been standing in Theodore's pasture, and he was on the property with his cattle. But you can look up and you can see what we did with the perennials and plants. So very English cottage garden style. If you want to learn more about English cottage garden, you definitely want to look up Gertrude Jekyll. She was one of the leading people in that whole movement back in the 1800s. And this book was written by Paul Siciliano. He was one of our professors at Purdue. First time I went into his class, it was the history of landscape architecture. I didn't know what to expect. A loud, passionate man from New Jersey with the name Paul Siciliano. And he would get up there in front of class and he would preach about garden history like a good Baptist preacher on Sunday morning. It's a really good book. You should be able to find these on Amazon. But and it goes all the way back to oyster gardens in Italy, hundreds and hundreds of years ago, and then up through the ages, up through the English cottage garden, all the way to the Chicago Botanic Garden and things like that. So it gives you a really wide look at how gardens have changed over time. It had nothing to do with English cottage gardens. But Shelley said, how to grow a pollinator plant or a pollinator garden incorporated into an English cottage garden style. So I put this up here because you can't really have a conversation about pollinators these days unless you talk about native plants, cultivars, and such. And I don't know what the temperature over here on this side of the river is on native plants. Do we have strictly native plant people in the audience?
I try.
Okay.
I try.
So you all are pretty mellow then.
Yeah.
All right. I love native plants. I got a native plant sticker on my water cup there. But there's a lot of heat that people get if they talk about using a cultivar or one of those scary exotic plants. And the first thing you have to think about is there's really 4 groups you can put plants into. You got native plants, but then that opens up and you go down the wormhole of, well, where is it native to? Do you want to go down native to Floyd County? Some people just group it and it's native to the eastern part of the U.S. Down in Kentucky, well, and here in Indiana too, you've got in the very western part, bald cypress. Native to these imaginary geopolitical lines that are on a map, and it's okay if it's native to a certain area. But that bald cypress down in the Pennyrile of Kentucky is not going to do very well in the eastern Appalachians, right? Same way, those hemlocks that are native to the eastern part aren't going to be any good down in the swamps of western Kentucky. And then the whole cultivar mess. Boy, I've had some conversation And I've seen some people really get ugly on the Facebook about this kind of stuff. Now, pollinators, butterflies, butterflies lay an egg, hatches into a caterpillar, and we know that, it's a specific host plant that that caterpillar has to eat to grow, become that butterfly or moth. Sweet gum. We've all seen a sweet gum. We've stepped on the balls. We don't like them, right? This is slender silhouette. And this is always my go-to plant to talk about why cultivars are important. Don Shadow was a big nurseryman down in Tennessee, passed away last year, but he was on an excursion. It was either down in Tennessee, Georgia, Alabama, down in the south, and he saw this sweet gum growing in water edge. And being a good nurseryman, he went over there and took some cuttings of it, took it back to his nursery, and he grafted it. And that's how we came to have slender silhouette. Every one of these at the Cane's Chicken, I think this is on Westport Road over in Louisville, the exact same plant. If we wanted to populate every high school in America with a good librarian like Miss Lewis, you can go over there and cut a finger off. And we brewed it, and we grew up all the same, right? And look how important it is to have a plant like this that was selected in the wild, mind you. So this was a native straight species plant until it was found for its good characteristics. That's between a parking lot, a sidewalk, and right next to power lines. So being able to plant that there, you don't have to worry about trimming it. It's a native plant, so there's butterfly species that will use this as a host plant. It doesn't know the difference between this one or one out in the woods. So I always like to tell people, and in-house over there at UW, we don't publish it in words, but we don't like to peddle garbage. So we like to tell the whole story of plants, not those little snippets that you get on the Facebook that tell you, native plants are better because they have deep roots. That was just that silly infographic that spread everywhere. But that came out of the Midwest, where the prairies were. You've got 30, 40-foot deep topsoils there with plants that have deep roots. But you go in the woods around here in the spring, and your bloodroot and your trillium and things like that, it's native here. It's still a good plant. I love those plants. Anywhere you go in the world, you're going to have plants with deep roots. You're going to have plants with shallow roots. So just telling people that native plants are better, and I'm not advocating against them at all. I love native plants, but it's just telling that whole story so we're all on the same page. Because exactly what you all are doing here today, you want to learn more about gardening, you want to help the environment, all those different reasons. And we have people out there thirsty for knowledge, and we got to be able to tell them that whole story and not let them just get everything they have from Facebook. Anybody on Facebook? I have been on Facebook since the fall of 2004, and it has gotten worse.
Indeed.
So do those trees do okay in the winter here?
Yeah, that's a native plant.
So,
There's
What-
probably a
like,
sweet gum
so
out
what's
here.
native to? I mean,
The
like
eastern US.
the eastern, okay.
But I mean, it's native right here to Floyd County. There's probably some sweet gums you can see over here somewhere. But like all of us, you look around the room, none of us are identical. We all have different characteristics. And then when we find those really good characteristics that might work well for us in an urban landscape, which is not natural, we got to really lean into those plants. When are cultivars not good? Everybody have an Annabelle hydrangea at home? Yeah. Native to here. Annabelle, just like when Don Shadow found that slender silhouette, this plant was discovered in Shawnee National Forest in southern Illinois. A lady riding on horseback saw this off in the woods with this great big mop head flower. The problem with that is you can see all the little florets, and that's what makes it so showy. Those are sterile. Those parts of the flower are just really on there to attract the insects to the flower to help pollinate them. This is another cultivar, but this is much more similar to what you see in the wild. So up here at the top, you'll hear these called a lace cap. So you've got those sterile florets around the side, but all those flowers in the middle are fertile, full of nectar. So those insects in the summer, early summer, when these are in flower, you can hear the insects and the bees and the flies and everything buzzing around. So selecting the plants for what you want. If it's a Victorian style garden, you don't want these wild, crazy plants we're going to talk about. But something like this would fit that. If you are more interested in doing native plants for pollinator purposes, you want to look at stuff that doesn't have those plants. Your double flowered cone flowers are pretty, but they're not going to be good for your pollinator.
Can I ask a bug question?
Maybe.
So I'm a member of another group and they really are hardcore native, right?
Is it the wild ones?
No. And I remember reading it, this is before I really got into gardening, but I remember reading a post that if we do the cultivars, it doesn't give the pollinators, the bugs, the proper nutrients. So in long term, it will decrease the longevity of pollinators. I have plants that aren't native and I have some cultivars in my yard. I don't know.
I'm not an entomologist.
Okay, that's why I
I'm
said,
not-
can you answer my question?
I've not done studies on the health of an insect. I will say their lifespan is very short. And that slender silhouette was a native straight species plant growing out in the wild. And for someone to say, oh, well, that plant's not as healthy anymore because now we've named it a cultivar.
Because I would get a whole lot more plants in my yard that are pretty, they're cultivars, and I feel like I'm hurting the
And there's so much genetic
bees
diversity
and the butterflies.
in these plants, just like we have in this room. If any of you all go up to the Cincinnati Zoo and Botanical Gardens, they do great horticulture lectures, great gardens, big, huge bulb display in the spring, summer annual trials. And they have a program up there where they kind of a citizen science type thing where they'll have kids and volunteer to go out and they'll sit down in front of a plant and count the insects coming to those flowers. And they have seen that some of your cultivars attract more plant or insects than others compared to even a straight species. And if you get into the Mount Cuba up in Delaware, they do a similar thing, big native plant research, botanical garden-like place, goldenrods. And they do a big report on all these cultivars compared to straight species on, mildew resistance and all this different type of stuff, including how many insects come to each one. I don't believe it. I don't.
And they're just so hardcore about it. They were my first introduction to gardening, and
Did it leave a bad taste in your mouth?
it left me with it left me feeling I was not able to help as much as I would like to.
Yeah. And this is what we have to support. We can't be screaming at each other and hollering at everybody. And that person's running their leaf blower over there and blowing the leaves from their cultivar of a maple. It's not welcoming.
My goal was to sort of know who you are, so that's what I'm working for.
We're gonna talk about that a little bit too.
Okay, good.
Because we're gonna make that full sweep from Victorian gardens, the really well-kept trim gardens, to my idea of how we should garden here at the end. But let's just run through some of these plants. You've probably seen a lot of these. These are all really good pollinator plants that are gonna bring those insects to your garden. Allium millennium. I personally think the ornamental onions like this, the short ones, are a great alternative to liriape. Gonna bring in a pollinator plant or pollinators. You get the nice flowers. It'll still show a little bit of winter interest in the fall after everything dies back. You still get the flower heads that stick up. And there's quite a few different cultivars of this. We added some of this into the Castle Garden at UDEL. Just a really great tough plant.
Are those bulbs?
They have bulbs. But it's not like the big bulbs like that. This is one that I hadn't seen until I was at the Chicago Botanic Garden a few years ago. This is not a native plant, but it's blooming in the late fall or early fall, I'll say. The bumblebees flock to this plant. You'll go out there and you can see one right there. But it's not uncommon to go out here and see 12, 15 or more bumblebees on one plant.
I have it, and I can't, like in the morning, you go out, it is just firebird.
Do you make sure to tell those bumblebees
I
that it's
do.
not as
We
healthy?
have-
That's good.
Bumblebee, because native plants are here, has to be there.
Uh,
Then he shows a stinger to me, does what he wants, so you know. Because I'm still meaner.
Another plant that's not native, your hardy garden mum. Now, I'm not talking about the ones that have been bred over the last 20, 30 years that you see at the Kroger and the JC store in that nice yellow, orange basketball shape. Those have been grown for a size. They fit on a rack really well. They ship well, and they look pretty on your porch at Halloween. And then people try to plant them out. But those big pom-pom flowers aren't good for anything much more than a cucumber beetle. These bloom later. We've got quite a few of these varieties in our evaluation gardens at UDEL. So if you come over there in September, October, November, you'll be able to see a lot of these flowering when a lot of our native plants have stopped. And these will still be covered with a bunch of insects, a whole lot. But you can see where they've got a lot of that fertile flower down there in the center, and then just the showy petals on the outside. Linapodium is another one that's not native. But if you want a plant that starts blooming late spring and it blooms all the way through summer, and the entire time it has those insects coming to it. Anybody have this plant?
Yeah.
Here's a native plant. It is a cultivar. This is one that was in Mount Cuba's trials on the tall coreopsis, or their whole coreopsis evaluation years ago. This is it's a proud plant. It's going to get about yay tall. You plant you a 1 gallon, trade gallon quart of that or whatever this year. Next year is like this. And then it's going to be like this. But this is going to really fit into that English cottage garden style. It's those big perennials. I like to look up at my perennials personally. I don't like that really short stuff that you see most of the stuff coming out these days. This is planted in front of the visitor center at UDEL.
Is that what they call swamp daisies?
I don't think so.
Okay,
Are you thinking of a cup plant?
I don't know.
Here's another native plant. It is a cultivar. But your Joe Pye weed. And a lot of these plants that are really good native plants for your garden, they're pretty. They attract the pollinators. They get this ugly name at the end of them called a weed. And it turns a lot of people off, especially a lot of people who came out of farming background. And did you have a dad maybe that would have just thrown something?
Grow it.
Oh,
Say onion.
yeah. And everybody knows the definition of a weed, right?
Hey, plant, you don't really want it.
Right. So you go out into some row crop where a cornfield was last year, they rotated to
How do
soybeans
I
this
get
year, you got corn
my
popping
picture
up.
off
That's
of a
weeds,
Zoom meeting?
because they don't want that out there in the soybean field this year. So don't let that scare you off.
What do you do normally?
Another one that's not native, this is a type of sedum. It used to be Sedum savolii, but they changed the name on it. If you want a nice little plant or a container on your porch that'll be blooming on Halloween and still attracting insects, this October daffodil.
Sound is on.
We had that in that pot at home for years. And it just stayed out there on the porch all winter, all summer. It doesn't take a lot of water. But when it finally blooms in the fall, you get a lot of activity to it.
Where do you find all these plants? Are they,
I knew somebody would ask. Somebody. Has anybody been to Udell's plant sales? Happy guy back here. Has anybody bought plants from us online? Oh, boy, you can. Yeah, and no. So I started at Udell in 2018 to develop the nursery, so we could start growing more of what we wanted, how we wanted, when we wanted, and the size we wanted. And sit down with Paul, our executive director. We had the conversation. You can buy anything online now. We should try that someday. And he's like, that's a great idea. We should. We went and started building greenhouses and growing plants. And then, if you remember March of 2020, so if you have been to our spring plant sales, it's elbow to elbow. You know, they didn't want us doing that. We had to flip 100% of our plant sale events to online sales in 2020. So if I do the math right in front of people, I think that's 7 seasons now. We've still been selling plants online. So we'll usually take all the inventory offline in December, and we'll dump it back in there in February. But you can buy plants online at Udell all year. So if you go through our website, udellgardens.org, since I started the nursery, if you want to go straight there, it's shopudell.com. But what you'll do is you can search, you can find the plants, and then when you go to pay, it will give you a prompt to choose a day to come pick those plants up. So you can plan that a lot around your visits. And you can get on there, you can sign up for our email, upfront newsletters. If you all want to get a hold of us, just call, email, show up. But that's what the nursery is here for. So before we developed the nursery, we were just putting a few hundred plants in the ground for annuals and stuff. And having to rely on what other people were growing, looking at their availabilities. It was boring. It wasn't exciting. Now, when I started, we were selling 99% of things that were grown elsewhere. We brought in and then sold them. We are now over 99% of stuff that we've grown in-house from seed or cutting or division or small starter plants. And we're putting close to 4,000 annuals in the ground this spring so far. So it's really transformed what we have the capabilities of doing over there. But we'd love to have you. We've got a fall plant sale coming up in person the last Friday and Saturday of September. But anytime you visit during open season over there, which is really March through just before Christmas, we'll have plants outside the visitor center you can shop through too. You can buy that. You can buy that right now. Monarda, everybody loves this. You got to talk about your hummingbirds, your bright red flowers. We've got this plant at home. It's great. It does get powdery mildew. Overlook it. Everybody has this plant, right? A lot of you have this. And really, the hummingbird moths love this. The actual hummingbirds love this plant. One of my favorites, and this one's hard to find. I don't know if we have it right now, but this is an older cultivar, but one of the white phlox. Your butterflies are going to flock to it.
It's got the worst case of powdery mildew.
You're not listening. I said, we don't worry about that.
Sorry.
It is unfortunate, but that's one thing. You can look at those trials at Mount Cuba, and that's one of the big things, because they did a phlox evaluation up there. And you can look at the ones, I think the one that won their selection for tall garden plots, which this is a native plant, it was Gina. And that's one that was selected down near Nashville, Tennessee. It's a smaller lavender type flower, but it was really resistant for growth. You got your shopping cart going? One of my favorites, I told you I like to look up. This is going to be right at home in an English cottage border garden in the back. cut leaf rudbeckia. It's gonna be another one that's 6, 7 foot tall. It stays upright. It doesn't flop too much. And it is a mecca for insects when it's blooming this time of year. Another one that's gonna beef up really quickly if you plant a small one, make sure you give it some room and you're gonna be really impressed with this plant. Rudbeckia maxima, goldfinches, not really a pollinator, right? But if you want to really attract goldfinches to your yard, this guy, it's formed the rosette. I think they call it cabbage leaf, something other too. But it's got that blue-green, great big leaf that stays low, about this tall. But then when it shoots the flowers up, you're going to be about 5 to 6 foot tall. Talking about a plant that flops, but attracts a lot of plants. Sweet cone flower. This is Henry Eiler, so it was selected for weird little twisted petals at the end. But another really good plant for your pollinator. This may have been, what'd you call it, swamp daisy?
Swamp daisy.
This is really good in a rain garden, wet conditions maybe. This plant provides multiple things for your insects. So you got the flowers with your pollen and your nectar, but they call it a cup plant because those leaves wrap around the stem and they'll hold water, and then your insects have a place to live in it. If you keep bees, they're gonna love this plant, especially when it gets hot and dry in the late summer. And this is one, once you plant it, you've got it. It's also gonna beef up pretty good. It'll reseed, but that's okay. And that's a straight species, that's the native, so the wild ones are gonna like that one. Yeah, you like it?
Oh, well, you know, I think I don't have it in the same spot. It's not growing as fast. It's the bottom of it's huge. But I don't think it's in a sunny enough spot. It's having transplant this spring.
And, you know, we talked about, you know, the climate that we see in this area. Once we find these perennials that are tough and they're not gonna go anywhere, you really need to beat those. And then if you wanna get out there and do that fine-tuned gardening, removing and pampering plants, you can do that. But you don't wanna have a whole garden full of that kind of stuff. Put some of these in the back, some of those cut leaf rudbeckias, and then that's gonna take up a lot. You can see these things from the road, even if you live really far off the road. One of my favorite goldenrods, this is the rough goldenrod. This is a native fireworks. You can kind of see why it's called that. It doesn't flower that long, but you can back a truck over it and it's not gonna flop.
So you know this from experience.
Yeah, no, it's upright. And this is another one that's gonna suppress the weeds, it's gonna spread, it's gonna clump up, and it's gonna be a really good garden plant for you, as long as you don't worry about a little bit of bullying out there with the plant. This is another one, Culver's root, blooms early or late spring, really tall, it flops. Thinking about your whole English cottage garden to where everything's just planted in amongst each other. This one does really well growing up, and then it just falls over whoever's next to it. But another one that's really good for the pollinator plants. This is a great pollinator plant. And if you look close, the little cup spikes down here at the base, those are little, I think they call them nectaries, but it's basically little cups of nectar. So it's not really a tube where they have to stick their mouth part down in it. Early season, we have a ton of hellebores, but these really attract a lot of stuff, those early insects. We've got beehives on property. So when they start waking up in March, even on some warm February days, these will start blooming. On a mild winter in December, they start ramping up in January. By the time you get to February, March, they're really, really doing a whole lot.
Those are always expensive, it seems like.
They are.
Why is that?
They're slow. We sell a lot of them over there.
Yeah.
But even a wholesale plant, good size will cost that $6, $8 a pot. And then you put in your soil, your pot, they're just an expensive plant. I think ours are 25.
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing.
This is a very late season. Look at the name, Last Dance. Halloween, early November. But this is another one of those bumblebees that are buzzing around out there looking for their last drink before they keel over or go dormant. They'll be on this one in late October. And then the cool thing about this, what's that?
Is that more of a shade?
Yes, this one at Hellebore was a shade plant. You don't get a lot of big showy flowers in the shade garden. You know that. You gotta play with your texture, but there are some like your hellebores. And hellebores do good in the sun too. I wouldn't put them out here in the parking lot, but still in bright sun, they'll be fine. This is a great plant. This one I put in here. Has anybody ever bought plants from Jean Bush up at Munchkin Nursery?
Yes,
Yeah.
So right before I came into UDEL, Paul and Jean got together. He was starting to get out of the nursery. And we went up for years and dug all of his propagation beds up and took them to UDEL. So that was kind of the start of our nursery. That's why we have so many shade perennials, because of Jean. This is one that came from Jean's garden. It reminds me somewhat of a mayapple, just the way it grows. It does get taller. It lasts all season. It shoots up its flower spike, and you're super excited, and then it flowers, and it's a bust. It's not exciting at all. But I don't know why. About every time I walk by this plant in the garden, there'll be a zebra swallowtail on it. I don't think it's using it for a host plant. I think it's using it for the flowers. But for some reason, that zebra swallowtail that's native to here loves the flowers on this plant. That's all I can tell you. But it's interesting. If you all have grown cardoon before, it's really, really close cousin to artichoke. When that thing flowers, there is almost always a bumblebee on that flower when you walk by it. So when you're out there in your garden and you're really paying attention closely, you start seeing these relationships with certain insects. This isn't native. I'll tell you.
How big are those leaves?
About that big.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, they're really big.
Shade plant too.
I heard that butterfly bush, and there was always butterflies on it. And I got rid of it, because they told me to put it down.
Did you get rid of it because it died, or did you dug it up?
Because they told me that it's not native.
Oh, yeah, they sound great.
They're wonderful people. They're all smart.
Do we have any wild ones in the audience? Yeah, I'm terrified that everybody on the Zoom.
No, I think they're wonderful people. It's just that they're militant about natives. It's called the wild ones.
Terrorists.
Yeah.
I love them. I mean, they're.
No,
they're-
they've got a chapter. They're big supporters of UDEL,
Yeah,
but you're right, they are native plant people.
yeah.
That's as far as they go.
Yeah.
Which is fun.
Yeah.
I really appreciate it because it adds a whole different level of difficulty to gardening. If you want to use just straight species native. But we are fortunate enough to live in this area, and we have a lot of really, really, really great plants that we can do.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to dog them at all. They've been so helpful, so knowledgeable, just that
Most of your butterfly bush aren't even going to be
I didn't
a
know
hardy
enough.
perennial.
Yeah, I didn't know enough to know anything else. So, yeah.
And let's not forget about our annuals. I never saw this plant until I was in England. Every garden in England had Verbena bonarensis. And I know why they had it, because once you get it, you got it. It's gonna reseed every year. It's all over UDEL now. We actually started some in the nursery because we wanted a big sweep of it in front of the house at UDEL. We had it along the event lawn last year. It came back up. That's what this picture is. So we've got a lantana out there, the verbena bonarensis. And if you want a plant that's going to bloom all summer, attract your butterflies, butterflies love both of these plants. Neither are even. But if there is one plant that I can vividly see in an English cottage garden in England, it's the verbena bonarensis. If you come over to Udell, just break off a couple of the seed heads and put it in your pocket. You got it. My wife for the last 4 seasons has been growing cut flower farm at our place out in Shelby County. So it's fun to go out there and see the plants that she's harvesting and delivering to local florists around Louisville. And see all the goldfishes that come out there and all the butterflies and insects. But gomphrena is one of her big plants. Butterflies love that. You can't forget about your zinnias. No, we're getting close. And don't overlook your edible gardens. Not only for a pollinator plant, a host plant. This is fennel, which one of the swallowtails is one of the swallowtails host plant for this. Your oreganos and your mints, some of your biggest attractants of insects for their flowers. And you can use them too. So if they're healthy for us, now I don't know if you're just doing mint juleps, so it might not be so healthy.
I grow agave too to make my own tequila.
All right, where are we at? We're close to an hour. So we kind of started looking at a couple pictures from those Victorian style gardens. And we came through the English cottage gardens, plants everywhere, different textures, high, low, crammed in there. Somebody brought up, I think it was you, No Mo May, or was that you?
Yes.
All right, let's go back to Facebook real quick. No Mo May. That's one of those things you see the infographics. You're not supposed to mow your grass in May because it helps the environment. All that does, that's the month where your grass is growing the most.
Yeah.
If you have to live in an HOA, and then you're gonna go back to mowing grass on June 1st, that's gonna be a nightmare. I like to talk to people about creating meaningful habitat, which is as far from Victorian style gardening as you can get. Another one is don't rake your leaves. It's important, right? Now, if you have a well-kept yard and you don't rake your leaves, but you don't have anything for those leaves to catch on, they're gonna blow until they find something to catch on. So those are two of the things that give people that want to get excited about gardening and help the environment, habitat, whatever, but it doesn't give them the tools necessary to do it well. So if you go out, I don't know how big your yards are, some of you all have acres, some of you have postage stamp, but if you go out there and actually create a perennial garden, an English style garden along your fence between you and the neighbor, and you leave that stuff there, you're creating habitat. You start adding shrubs in, your birds are gonna get in there. They're gonna nest. If you plant evergreen, that's gonna give them a place to roost in the winter. And you're creating meaningful habitat instead of following these trends of feeling good about yourself because you don't mow your grass in May. Or, I'm gonna use the excuse of not wanting to rake my leaves, doing good, but you have to do that. So this picture, this was a giant ash tree that fell down. We've got a weird L-shaped property in Shelbyville where we got about an acre and a half up where Emma grows her plants and our gardens and our house, and we got this strip that runs behind, we're on a dead end. Anyway, long story short, that big long acre and a half wasn't really doing anything. Guy down the road was mowing at golf course height for years. Finally got ahead of him. We would let it grow back up. So that ash tree fell. What's the first thing you're supposed to do when a tree falls in your yard? Go clean it up, right? It's still right there. That was 7 years ago. And if you can see, That was in 2019, right after it fell. This was about 3.5 years later. And you can see where we've just let stuff come back. We've let nature return. Now that area down there is just full of invasive species. We've got euonymus and bush honeysuckle. So that's when you really have to ask yourself, is it better to have a mowed yard with no habitat or bush honeysuckle? That's tough, right? But there's so much more stuff down there. We've let the grass just do what it wants to. So you get more habitat at the ground level for mice and moles, overwintering insects. When the leaves fall, they stay right there. The woodpeckers have demolished that ash tree. It's almost completely eaten back into the ground. But we just left it there. So we were creating meaningful habitat, which is really what we want to teach and talk about. Because that's when you can really do some good and start attracting a whole lot of different things to your garden. Anybody got any questions? I heard there's good brownies. That's all I got.
Lisa, are there any questions on Zoom? No. No questions on Zoom? No. Anybody else have questions?
No, it's thorough.
Good job.
Yeah, that's one.
Everybody's gonna go get tomatoes. Actually, I know some here too. I'll put those over there in a minute.
You got tomatoes or brownies?
You still want donations, Sally? Yes. Yeah, so Mike gets donations for Sally's and then these are free. Yeah, all right. So Linda, Debbie Cover isn't here tonight, but we did approve the minutes via email, so just, I'll go ahead and make that statement, that minutes are approved. And then Mike is up. We just, yeah, we did it all by email.
Oh, no, it needs a vote. This one needs a vote.
This one needs a vote, okay, do I have a motion? Thank you, Diane. Second. Karen. Karen, you know, some of those things. Here, go ahead. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. That's one of those things I'll never be good at, so I'm just letting you guys know that. I'm glad I have good direction. Now it's your turn, Mike. Thank you for keeping me in line.
Trying to.
Short and
Okay.
sweet.
Okay. Here's our P and L for the month of July. So July is typically a very slow month, which is obvious. We didn't collect any dues or anything like that. We had a little bit of outreach expense. And then for our program type expenses, had a bill for newsletters, some printing, pollinator day expenses of $264. That's for next pollinator day. No, wait, that's for last pollinator day, most of that. Our different programs, money, our expenses are starting to come in. A little bit of tomato festival expense. So total expenses were $644. Other revenue, we had some interest income, which is consistent. We had the SMG tours, money started coming in for Streamcliff Farms. And at this point, we've got over 15 attendees, so it's a go. Let's see. And then we had a picnic expense. That's to reserve the shelter house for next year's picnic. So the net revenue or net loss, so to speak, is $533, which this year, this time of year, it's fine. So Laura, if you pull up the next one. Any questions on that? Okay. And on Streamcliff Farms, the due date for Streamcliff, since Jeff and Debbie Culver are out of town, the deadline is actually for you to pay is the day after Tomato Festival. And the event is like September 23rd. The deadline is Streamcliff Farms deadline, not our deadline. So that's their way of doing things. Thank you. So this is year to date. So we had a little bit of dues and late fees. We had pollinator day, revenue of $27,000. I'm rounding off. If anybody wants copies of this stuff, email it to me and email me and I'll send them to you. Also on pollinator day, SMG had a booth. We collected $791. See, year-to-date Tomato Festival income, that's cookbook sales, and there's a new cookbook coming out, or is out. So keep that in mind. See, we had various donations for different projects, so it's $664 there. Fees for youth master gardeners were $700. Total revenue year-to-date, $29,600. And you scroll a bit more, Lori, doing great. Okay. Let's see, expense wise, outreach expense, 538, technology website, 600. So total association expense, $1,147. And then just the general office expenses, which includes the printing, the newsletters, printing and photocopies, and our insurance. That's an annual fee. That's our general liability insurance, $565. And go around. There you go. That's good. That's good. Right there. Okay. Programs expenses year to date, $1,391. Other things, we had SMG tour expense, Tomato Festival expense, uncategorized expense. That was a retirement gift for Betty Harlan when she retired in the office. Let's see. So net income from operations, so to speak, is $5,400. Other income, about $328 on interest. Kroger and Panera Bread is $250. We took in picnic money and tour money, so that's $1,068. Picnic expense was $215. Our scholarship expense to the high school student going to college was $1,000. Venmo processing charges, it was $14. And let's see, so total other expenditures, $1,230. Other net revenues, $162. So net income is $5,243. Of that, about $7,000 is in pollinator day. So that money gets carried over to the next pollinator day because we're in the black. So if you subtract $7,000, and that's approximate, $7,000 from the $5,200, we're in the red about $1,750, which this time of year is fine. We haven't had Tomato Festival, we haven't started collecting dues, we haven't had wreath class. So everything is good and everything is on budget. So any questions there? Okay. The last one is our balance sheet, or statement of financial positions as it's called today. Okay. We've got total cash of $34,638. Of that, we have $20,000 in certificates of deposit, 2 of them. And they're earning probably a weighted average of about 4.1%. So it's money that's not sitting. As years ago, we just had a checking account, wasn't earning interest. We're taking advantage of earning interest on our money that's sitting. The other monies, we got $11,700 in Centra checking / sweep account. It's a money market checking, basically. We still have $2,000 in PNC. We have to keep PNC because PNC is where we funnel our Zelle and Venmo money. Centra is not set up to do that commercially. So, and we're a commercial account. So that's our total assets, $34,600. We didn't have any credit card liability last month. We will probably next month with things going on, but last month, so that's our net equity right now. It's 34,638. Anybody got any questions? Okay, thank you very much. I'm finished, Shelley.
I can't say enough because it is so, our accounting has become complicated with the grants and things like that, because every grant requires certain reporting, and Mike has done an outstanding job doing all that. With that being said, we do need a new treasurer for 2020. Think about that. Because we do need someone to do it. He's holding out his 2-year term. So, same with me. My 2-year term is coming to an end as well. So think about what you can do to contribute a little bit more to our organization.
You've done so well.
Oh, thank you. Oh, thank you. I don't know about that, but it's a good team. The board is a great team. They all work together, and Gina is extremely supportive. So that's the only, I contribute if I have any success, it's due to them. It has nothing to do with me. So thank you. Next is Diane. For Tomato Festival, which is how many days away, Diane?
12 days.
12 days. We're counting down my Christmas.
Flies, we having fun. Yeah, I'm gonna go up there, so better for the.
For the video.
Yeah, got it. Okay.
Look at that tomato you have.
Yeah, this is probably an Abe Lincoln, one of the, well, yeah, 12 taste testing, tomatoes that we have.
Can I hold it?
Oh, I got it.
Okay.
It's not that heavy. It's only a couple pounds. The little container here is for cherry tomatoes. Lisa has some, so if you're gonna donate some cherry tomatoes to the produce area, ask Lisa for some of these little containers, because they're very nice. But it's also, I'm gonna make sure that, you all think about when you actually are donating your produce or plants or whatever, you bring them in something that will protect them so that they show up in good shape for our clientele is going to show up to buy all of the produce that you guys are making. So if you notice the budget, okay, so far this year we're in the red, as I said, not the black, the red. Okay, so that's one of the reasons why we have the tomato festival and the wreath making class. Yeah, no pressure there. So the goal is hopefully that we will end the year in the black and not the red. Okay, I'll pick that up later. Everybody knows that the Tomato Festival is on the 16th, Sunday from 11 to 2. Setup begins at 9, and cleanup, of course, starts at 2 o'clock. We have, I'd like to be up here and just say, same old, just do everything you did last year and we're all great. However, that's not the way life goes, right? Things happen. So the good news is that parking lot that we have out there is going to get resurfaced. Okay, so it's going to be a nice new parking lot. The bad news is it's going to be the week before the Tomato Festival. So Tomato Festival is on the 16th. They promise, I think, I don't know if they can actually promise that it will be done on the 15th. Okay. Yay. Okay, so that just makes our logistics a little bit more difficult, but we're smart people and we can figure this out, right? At least, yeah, and I have faith in you guys. So I wanted to just go over a couple of different things. In that, just like last year and the year before, this room, the Scribner room, and the Armstrong room are reserved for that Friday before Tomato Festival. So if you have items to donate for the gardening goods, plants, whatever, they can come up here on Friday. But to get up here on Friday, it's going to take you a little bit of maybe hiking because you can park in that road north of the building, okay? The front door is unlocked. There is a north door that's locked, but you can actually come through there. It's closer to your car. If you've got a lot of stuff, text me, call me, and I will meet you here and help you haul it in. Okay, not a problem. This is Friday, the 14th, okay? Get that date right. Okay. So, but we'll have this room set up just like we did last year. All the tables we'll have the tables in different areas, and they'll have labels for the different booths. So, if you bring whatever you bring, the stuff can go on the tables, and Armstrong room for the plants. Okay. So again, text me if you need some help getting stuff up here. Be glad to assist on that Friday.
And then Diane said, correct me if I'm wrong, you're gonna send out an email.
Right, all this information will be in an email, so you don't have to memorize this or panic. No one's panicking, right? This is not, no one's, this is not brain surgery. We're all good. Now, on Saturday, between 10 and 12, just like last year, Lisa and I will be out. We usually are in the parking lot. We'll actually be on the road north of the building here, waiting for you to deliver your produce and flowers. And if, we're easy to spot. I got that little yellow car. Everybody knows my yellow car, right? It'll be there. So if you've got produce, flowers to bring them then. Sally, raise your hands, wave Sally. Sally would like to know if what type of flowers you might be bringing, so just email her that information because she's in charge of the flower team and they're putting together 80 bouquets. Okay, so which is actually a little bit less than last year. I mean, there was a lot last year. So, but whatever your garden has, as far as flowers or whatever, cut them all down. Okay.
Sally Taylor.
Right.
If you look at the directory, look up Sally's email address, Sally Taylor, and that's who you're gonna ask.
Lisa.
I would just like to remind everybody, if you're bringing flowers, please bring them in water, and Sally prefers in a container that she doesn't have to return.
Right. Yes, definitely. Let's see, where am I going? Now, you can also bring your stuff on Sunday morning, the day of the festival, okay? And then just take it directly to the booth that it belongs to, whether it's the plant booth or the produce booth or the gardening goods booth. But don't start bringing it until 9:30. We'll make sure all the canopies are up and all the tables are set up. And we've got a great setup crew that, work like busy bees to get all that stuff out there. So we can all get it going here. Okay, just remember that everything has to be sale ready when you bring it. The volunteers don't have any time to fix anything or clean anything. Everything has to look good. And you'll understand that. I've got a note here. Bring things in containers you don't want back. Okay, the volunteers can't keep track of things. They're too busy trying to get, all this stuff sold so they can actually make money. So we actually get into black. Right. All right, so you guys are really, really generous when it comes to produce and flowers, and we appreciate that. Just to give you a list of the things that are needed, green beans, basil in water. We'll use the basil for, actually the basil goes for flowers. We sell some basil, and then we're also going to have Capri salads to sell at the Vine and Dine. So raise your basil plants, okay? But make sure they're in water so they keep healthy. Zucchinis, squash, okra, peppers, beets, radishes, and of course tomatoes. Okay, whatever you've got, bring it. If you need help in picking, one of my first jobs was to pick green beans. Yay! I think I made 15 cents a pound. Anyway, there we go. If you need help, picking, harvesting, or whatever, just let me know. We'll get a team out there, to do that. Let's see, I think and flowers. Salvia, zinnias, dahlias, celosia, I don't know what that is, but any flower that looks good and showy, whatever, just bring it. Now, the tomato tasting booth. We have 12 different varieties of tomatoes growing out there and 300 different plants that went out to people to grow. So when you harvest your your tomatoes for the tomato tasting booth, be sure that they're well labeled. So we know what's an Abe Lincoln, we know what's a Martha Washington, we know what's, black shit, whatever we have there. What do we have there? Let's see, Brandy Boy, but there's all sorts of things that look alike. So make sure they're well labeled and then just bring them up to this room here because the processing will occur in the kitchen over there. So the taste testing booth tomatoes come up here into the shine room. And if for some reason you have mystery plants, you lost the label, okay? I mean, by the time we had 300 plants dispersed to people, I had over a dozen mystery plants, okay? They're planted, but all those tomatoes will go to the produce booth to sell, okay? So if you have a mystery plant, don't try and guess, just send it to the produce booth. Let's sell it. Let's make some money and let's get in the black. So if you're doing the taste testing, plants, make sure they're marked well. And let's see. Oh, the plants for fundraising. I think I've already mentioned the different types: fall starts, kale, broccoli, chard, cabbage, dwarf tomato plants. If you're, now's a good time. We had some rain, dig up your perennials, start dividing them. I know it might be a little early, but just give them lots of water. They'll be fine. Anyway, and that's for the plant shop. And of course the gardening goods, whatever you got hanging around that's, that would be good for gardening or, a nice doodad for your garden or whatever, something you're tired of, whatever, bring it to sell. Okay.
That's something you would want to buy.
You would want to buy. Right. That's always a good thing. So, whatever, exactly what you would like to buy. Okay. Let's see, hang on a second, make sure that I've got everything. Judith and her crew will be up here Friday at noon to price things. So if you can get things here Friday for the gardening goods booth, that would be really good.
What's on Friday?
They're gonna be here by 1 o'clock or
1
something.
o'clock.
Yeah.
Sure, okay.
Yeah, so if you can get things here before 1 o'clock, that'd be great.
At 1 o'clock. Are you gonna be here?
They're gonna be here at 1 o'clock, but you can bring the stuff up anyway. The room will be open for you.
Okay.
Yeah, there'll be a,
really come in to find everything and then start.
okay. Yeah, there'll be a table that's marked with the gardening goods booth. All right, advertising, I've got save the date cards. If anybody, wants to take those places, if you frequent a coffee shop, just put it on their board. Restaurants, whatever, start passing them out to strangers. It's good. They'll thank you for it. Okay. Oh, and don't forget the tomato contest. Okay. We're doing a little bit slightly different twist this time. All of you guys who are donating tomatoes, you are entering the contest. Okay. Whether you want to or not. Okay. Because the contest, remember, it's not a well, okay, we're dealing with the smallest, largest, weirdest, and most perfect tomato. And what you have is you have your family and friends come, you tell them, you show them your tomato and have them put money in the jar for your tomato. The tomato that makes the most money wins in that category. Okay. So it's not,
Don't win the rest.
You don't win the money, you get a certificate, that says you actually had the weirdest tomato. And that's something to frame on the wall. Okay? Yeah. So definitely, if you donate produce, make sure you pick out a tomato, enter that it'll be entered into the contest. If you don't pick one out, we'll pick one out for you. Okay. And if you really want to make sure you win, just slip a little $20 bill in the jar. That will probably take care of almost everything. Okay. Let's see. What else? Oh, here's something very important. The Let's Talk Tomatoes booth needs tomato pests. Okay. So particularly need hornworms. Last year, hornworms, believe it or not, were a hit. People thought they were just so very cool. So bring them on. You're bound to have one or two, right? And particularly if you've got those little white eggs on the back, that's really cool too. Okay. You might want to make sure that they've actually hatched the wasps out versus bringing one in that has the wasp still in it. But they're very cool. Anyway, Lisa has insect boxes for the hornworms, but they really were a hit last year. So just, check your gardens for the hornworms. They're bound to be there. And if you decide that you want to volunteer for the day, I can always figure out where you can fit in the volunteer group. Okay. Sorry, what am I missing? I'm missing something. All right. Sorry, this took a long time, but I'm sorry. Give me a call if you have any questions, or email me, text me if you need any help getting your stuff up here, or your produce picture, whatever you need. Okay. Yes.
Dennis, do you have a digital copy like of a flyer that we can post on Facebook?
Um,
Well, are you on Facebook? Are you, I have been putting it out there on our page. Forward it. Okay.
Yeah, you can share. Yeah, we're on Facebook. We were in the newspaper already. We're almost everywhere. Gina will be on I don't remember what channel it is, on the 10th hawking our tomato festival.
Wave.
Oh, just one actually. We're still working on the other one. We don't know what's going on there. All right. So other questions. All right. So if you have questions, let me know. If you need help, let me know. Okay. Because, we want to make this a good festival. It always is. It's a great festival because of everybody pitches in and you do a great job. And people are growing great tomatoes. That's really cool.
Do you have any yard signs left?
I have 2 yard signs, so they're in my car. So just, afterwards we'll go down and get it. Okay. All right. Anything else? All right. Let me know what questions you have. This will all be sent out in an email, either later this week or early next week. Okay. But do let me know what questions you have. And I will take this big cherry tomato with. We're growing big here.
Right, Stephanie, you want to come on up here? Sure.
Okay, so I'm gonna talk to you about the seed saving committee tonight. This is the time of year when most of your flowers and vegetables are starting to get seed heads. So we would really appreciate any that you can collect from any open pollinated flowers or vegetables. We packaged over 3,000 packages last year. That went out to about 5 of the libraries, open house, pollinator day, and tomato festival. It's a tremendous amount of work to get 3,000 package, that many seeds collected, cleaned, in packages, labeled, and out. So we need you guys. Just the team that we have is a great team, but we can't grow enough for 3,000 packages. So if you can clean your seed heads, that is absolutely wonderful. And you can put your seeds just in a yogurt container, paper bag, anything like that to get it to us. And then we will package them in the small packages and print the labels. But to print the labels, we do need you to use the Seed Saver form that's right there, which we'll talk about here in just a minute. If you can't do the seeds yourself, I understand. We will accept the seed heads, but they need to be very, very, very dry before they're brought either to a meeting or brought into the office. Unfortunately, last year I got a call 3 different times to come pick up seed heads that had been donated. They were in plastic bags and they were wet and molded by the time I got here, which that's too much work for you guys, for it to not be able to work out for us. So if you need to, provide the seed heads for us, you can cut them off, and the trays like you get at Grantline Garden Center with your plants in them, you can lay them in a box like that to dry out. Just be sure you've done that for 2 or 3 weeks before you actually bring them to either a meeting or bring them into the office. And our team we work diligently at the meetings. We have 3 people on the team in particular that clean seed heads all winter long. It's a huge job. We do need you to provide for our new seed permit that we have. It is required that we have the location where they were collected. Does not have to be a home address or anything like that, but we need the county and we need at least the month that they were collected. The rest of the information is great if you can provide it. If not, we look it up. But we have to at least know something about the name of it, what you call it, what you know about it. Don't be intimidated by the form. You don't have to fill it all out, just what you know about it. And sometimes people to the bottom of the form, there is a note section down here. Sometimes that's the very best thing you can provide for us. Something that you're growing and you know that it likes a particular type of sun or shade exposure. Something that you know about that plant that's very specific. We can usually fit some of that onto the label. We also have an information sheet for almost all of the donated seeds that has what won't fit on the label. We have that in a binder form and we take that wherever we present, or to like Pollinator Day or Tomato Festival, and we can share with the people that are taking our seeds that information. And they love to hear things like, I've grown this for 25 years and it does this or it does that. And it's great to know. You can provide your seeds or your seed heads to me at the meetings. You can take them into the office and email me that you've done that, and then I will stop by the office and pick them up. You can get them to other people that are on the Seed Saver team. And if you need any help with how to process, it can be kind of tricky. Seed Saver team has some great books. So if you don't know, you know your flower, but you don't really know what to look for in the way of what the seed head is going to look like, I can always copy something out of that book and get it to you, because we've got some really great information. And most of us on the Seed Saver team can help you with anything you might need to know about collecting. Don't ever think anything's too common. We can use lots and lots of marigolds and zinnias because they work out really, really well for some of the places where we donate. Something we started at Pollinator Day last year, which was a huge hit. We had about 8 different flower seeds, actually maybe 6 of flowers and a couple of herbs that we had in bulk containers. And we had spoons and envelopes, and the people could take what they wanted. We had the information on the table. They could write down whatever they wanted to. I didn't really know how it would go over, and it was very well received. We're going to do it at Tomato Festival this time too. So to have containers of bulk seeds like that, in addition to 3,000 packages that are going out, it's a lot of seeds that we need. So never think that anything's too common, because just even the zinnias and marigolds are great. Any questions? The form, I can email it to you. It's on the SMG website over on the member side. And there are about, I keep about 20 copies right inside Gina's office where you walk in the door, and there's the containers that hold information sheets. So there's all kinds of ways to get it. So please try to use it to the best of your ability, or at the very least, provide me the names, the county you collected it in, and the month that you collected it. Any questions? That is jotting.
Next on the list is Elizabeth. I typed it and then didn't save it before I sent it to you guys, so you didn't see it. So she's our surprise. She's the surprise today.
Okay, I'm here to talk about the wreath making classes. Okay, this is our last fundraiser of the year, but it is August. It's time to get that date out there, December 5th. It is the first Saturday in December. Okay, no, I do not have sign up sheets yet. It is August. Okay, I didn't want to torture you in July. July was miserable and I wasn't even thinking about cold weather. Well, I was dreaming about it actually in July, but December 5th, we will have 3 classes again. The first one starting at 9, the second at 11, and finally the third session will be at 1 p.m. I will be asking for volunteers because this is a very important event that has been going on now for over 35 years, a long time. So, and it is fun. I try to be entertaining, but also it is because of you that it basically happens. Your time spent gathering greenery. By the way, I actually got a great idea to contact somebody to get greenery. I never even thought about it. Cemeteries. Okay. Yeah. Somebody just said that today. I'm like, that's genius. So I'm going to be looking into that as well as.
Don't get arrested.
I resemble that, but I will get permission first. But again, start keeping an eye out for greenery. We did wonderful last year, but there was one person that's asked me specifically, Lindley, where are the cattails? We did not have cattails, and I didn't even notice. So I remembered that very specifically. But just keep an eye out, all right? It is August, okay? But hydrangea heads are beautiful right now, but they will start going soon. All right, we still have the rest of August to get through. So I will be getting save the date cards next class, and I will have sign up sheets, but December 5th, save the date. That's it. That's all I got.
Margie, did you want to talk about the stream cliff?
Yes, can you hear me from here?
Yes, but the people on Zoom can't, so I do need you to come up here, please. Are you okay?
Yeah.
Do you want to hold my hand?
Take that command. Okay, this is Spring Cliff Advanced Training, which is going to be Wednesday, September 23rd. But the money has to be in by August 17th. And we need 15 people at least in order to have this, in order for them to accept us.
Which I think Mike said we did get 15.
Did we? Oh,
Yeah,
good.
people like this collecting today.
Great. Okay, so we can meet to carpool in this parking lot, in the Purdue parking lot at 9:30, because it's gonna take at least an hour to get there if you go the speedless. Training begins at 11 o'clock. The subject is growing succulents. Included is lunch in the restaurant following the training. There's rosemary chicken, pasta salad, vegetables, lemon cake. And the food is very good, a beautiful place. I'm sure most of you have all been there already. The cost is $35. And the final deadline is August 17th, as I said. This is the 7th generation historic farm located at 8225 South County Road, 90 West. Take I-65 North to exit 41 for Uniontown. Go east 11 miles to Highway 3. Turn left and go 3 miles, turn right. And it's opposite the Comiskey Orange Store.
And I can get that information out by email for everyone. Okay.
Now, I also have information on the Christmas dinner
Okay.
that Barb Brewster already did a good job finding a really nice place for us and has already finalized the caterer that's gonna do this. She signed the contract just recently with Mark's Feed Store for our Christmas dinner. It's gonna be December 1st at 6:30 at the Grace Lutheran Church, right here, Thurner Lane, down Thurner Lane, very close to this place, 1787 Thurner Lane. The price is $23 each. We're not collecting money for that tonight, but probably they'll start in the fall. The menu is pulled pork, chicken, onions, pickles, sauce, barbecue, baked beans, red potato salad, brownies, tea, lemonade. Marks will set up, serve, and clean up, and will provide all plates, utensils, napkins, and cups. That's our Christmas dinner.
Thank you, Margie. Thank you. And again, I'll get that information out by email for everyone so that you know the exact dates and the, how to get out there. Next year on the list, Gina.
Yeah, I don't have too many updates. As Diane would have told you, our parking lot's being redone next week. Yay! So the south end is getting done the first couple of days, then the north end. I will be here, I think, almost every day. I don't know that the office will be open every day just because we trying to figure out parking and everything. So if you need to come, call first. I know there's a program committee meeting next week and the Seed Savers meeting, which we'll get parking instructions out for that. But by Thursday, no one will be able to get to the lot. You'll have to park out on the road or in the cul-de-sac. So that's really kind of it for me right now, unless you have questions for me. Third grade's coming up. I've already had teachers email me about scheduling, and fourth grade's in September, and that's all I got.
Yeah, so just remember, if you want to sign up for those things, because you've already sent out an email, make sure you respond if you want to sign up for those volunteer opportunities. Especially those who need the hours, getting close to the end of the year, believe it or not. So make sure you have your hours in, make sure you have them recorded, all that fun stuff. Don't forget, if you want to be nominate your friend for a position on the board.
They don't have to know who it was you. You can be anonymous.
All right, so, before we leave, there's two things. When we leave, there should only be 2 chairs at every table on the back side. So all the other ones will go up against the wall, fold it up, so if you can help us do that, so the few of us don't have to all do it. Take your chair and just figure that out. Secondly, so we have 1 hour of education time. And I guess 0.75 for meeting. Is that stretching it, Gina?
Sure. No,
Yeah, okay, so 0.75 for your meeting. Make sure you record those hours.
Ask 0.75, please. 0.75.
0.75.
Yeah, don't put it in 75.
Oh, yeah, no, 0.75.
0.75.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, 0.75. Yeah. Okay. I need a call. Somebody make a motion to adjourn. Jane Archer makes a motion to adjourn. Valerie second. All in favor? Opposed? It was beautiful seeing you all today.